Welcome to episode 8 of the Lights at Full podcast. My name is Brian Smith. With me, as always, is Brent Schmidt, and we are two DJs turned lighting nerds here to level up your lighting game because it probably sucks.
True.
Hey,
ain't that the truth?
Mine sucked for a long time and sometimes still sucks. So, it happens.
Yep. Every so often, I'm just like, wow, we really did that? Okay.
Why did I do that? All right. Yeah. Okay. But then you look at something really... Yeah, but sometimes you look at something really cool that you did, like, oh, wow, I really did that.
Yeah. And show the hell out of it off.
Like, yeah, ooh. And sometimes to pull off doing that, like, ooh, you need gear that you don't own. And that's what we're going to talk about today. We're going to talk about equipment investment strategies, when to rent and when to buy and how to think about it. So is this really sexy, glitzy, and glamorous topic? No, not necessarily. Is it technical on the lighting side? Not totally, but it is on the business side. And sometimes we need to think business when we're thinking about what we're doing. So are you going to rent it or are you going to buy it, Brent?
It's a case-by-case basis for me. I don't know about for you, Brian. I'm sure it's probably the same way, but man, there's just so many positives and negatives, pros and cons to each of these. And, like we said, we're going to dive into this. And first, we're going to talk about renting. And let's lay the framework here for everyone listening and watching. We're talking about a normal event that is taking place. So we're not talking about a big corporate event. Let's just break it down. What? A wedding, let's say?
Sure. Yeah, a wedding.
Right, cool. Because there's just so many variables to it. Is this a corporate event? Is this a concert? There's so many, and then of course the amount of gear that's needed for those occasions is going to be different than what a wedding is. So laying the framework, wedding, and let's jump right into it. So renting, client wants uplighting around the space. They want 100 uplights. They want moving wash lights, they want pin spots, and of course they want an LED backdrop, LED video wall backdrop for the DJ, and also a DJ booth facade video wall. Brian, are you buying all this gear, or are you renting all this gear?
I'm renting all that gear. I mean, would I personally love to own a video wall? Yes, I would. I have wanted one since I repped Sound Switch at Mobile Beat in Las Vegas and was DJing in the Chauvet booth, and they were showing off the first iteration of panels that they were going to try to sell to DJs, and my DJ booth was made out. I was like, I want this. This is awesome. But I still don't own it, and that's we're almost 10 years on from that. So no, I'm renting a video wall for sure. I have rented video walls in the past. I have someone that I go to. That's my video wall guy. I call him up when I need it. One of the cool things about renting something like a video wall from someone else is that they're generally not going to let you set it up yourself because you don't know how to set it up. So they're going to come in with labor, everything that they need to get that thing built and running, and basically just hand you the keys. And I mean, that in and of itself, the fact that I'm not paying labor, I'm not having to bring extra people in, and I've got someone outside coming in to do that aspect for me, it's a huge relief. And it may just be a video wall, but there may be other things where you're renting and they're like, oh, we'll send a tech to hang out and help set it all up. Cool, man. That is a great way to take pressure off of you. And it's definitely something to look into when you're renting. It's will they send someone to help set it up?
Yep. Definitely never say no to the labor getting it set up, because guess what? They're qualified. They are on that company's insurance. And it's the thought of, if you set it up, they send it to you and you set it up and it falls, you have an insurance claim on your hand that you're going to be responsible for. So take that added pressure off your shoulders. let that company set it up because they know exactly how to set it up, and they're going to do it in a quicker amount of time because they know actually how to freaking do it. So
And troubleshoot it.
yes, let them cook, let them set it up. Oh my gosh, don't pass on that.
No. Now, if you're just renting uplights because you've got 40 and you need 100 uplights and you're renting 60 uplights, yeah, of course. I mean, you can handle an
Right,
uplight.
right.
But it's do not pass up on the free labor, or it's not free, you're still going to pay for it, but do not pass it up. But one of the other things like that I think is really important when you're looking for gear is building relationships within your own community. So I'm in Boston, major metropolitan area. I've got Four Wall, I've got High Output, I've got Frost, there's literally too many of them for me to name. And I do have relationships with Four Wall and High Output, great people. I know I can go and get things from them, but I also know that I'm going to probably pay a premium to get things from them because that's their business model, and that's fine. I totally understand it. But that DJ that has a video wall or has a fancy set of movers that's down the street from you, call them. Like, hey, I need something for this. Like, can I rent it from you? Like, I have done that quite a bit. In fact, me just talking about my video wall, like that's another DJ. Like I'm not going to one of the big production houses. I have needed to bring in specialized speakers. I mean, and hopefully actually we'll have him on the show in the future, but the new social media icon of the DJ world, DJ Malik, I had to do production for him last spring, and I needed to bring in had to be all white. I had to bring in big all white speakers, and I had a friend who I knew is an LD dealer, and I got white Maui 44s for him, and it was perfect. And I didn't have to pay anything. And I think that's one of the things that people forget is like, it's worth spending the money in your community, like in your world, right? So like spend the money with your friend's company, right? Because at the top, we're collaborating, at the bottom, we're competing, right? A lot of times they might not even charge you anything. Like I've done that for people. I've like, yeah, no, just borrow it, just take it. Like, don't even worry about it. I'm not using it. Go make money. Same thing. Or if I do have to pay for it, I am paying, pennies on the dollar of what I would pay going to a production house or going to Encore in the in-house. So it's definitely, if you're not already making connections with your fellow DJs, the other people in your community, like that run these kind of companies, even the production companies, like you should, because that is how business moves forward together and benefits everyone.
Exactly. I'm in the same boat here, Brian, where there's a small number of us small production people that when there's big jobs that we can call on each other and use each other in whatever ways that we specialize in specific industries to help elevate and not only help each other, but also make sure that we do the job to its fullest to satisfy the clients in the best way possible. Um, Definitely make those connections, get out there, and even to like maybe the medium style production houses that are a little bit bigger, but they're not, your Four Walls, your PRGs, your, Encores, let's just say, like tune in with them because I'm sure they also have the capital to be able to invest in newer fixtures and newer technology, speakers, lights, all that fun stuff. And one thing I wanted to make a note on is also find like if you're going to invest in, let's just say, uplights or movers, see what other people have in your market and area, because if you, let's say, buy the Chauvet Intimidator hybrids, your friend of yours down the road owns another company and he bought the Vizzy spots from ADJ. Well, if you need more spots, like when it comes to programming your show, like either in SoundSwitch or Wolfmix or whatever, like it's gonna be a little bit more complicated because now those two, you know, won't compare as well. But if you're gonna invest, be like, hey, maybe I do get these ADJ Vizzy spots or you know, the hybrids so that, if you need to rent or borrow my stuff, it's a simpler, easy, addition to your life and to your show because it's just quickly changing some DMX addresses or adding some addresses and know everything is going to be fluid from there versus, or same thing with uplights. The colors are going to be somewhat similar and, the communication protocol communications is going to be pretty similar in that. So that's kind of like my tidbit when I'm talking with people that are looking to buy specific uplights or movers, because it's like if you have that network of people that already have it, it's easier to, or hey, one of your lights goes down and you can call, Joe Schmo down the road has the same light. Hey dude, I need this light for this one show because mine just took a shit, yesterday at whatever show. That is huge. And again, network, talk to your people, and have a voice out there in your industry.
And even when it comes to like the big production houses or the medium production houses, like ask them for a rental catalog, or ask them if they have a sheet of their what they have available. So that way you can look and be like, okay, like I know this company has a lot of this available, and this is something that was in my short list to invest in. Like I'm going to buy these because I know that they have them. So if I need to get more, same idea. But, getting out and, we're talking about community and we're talking about finding out what's out there. How do you find out? Like, especially like the rental houses, because a lot of times, like, we're not necessarily in the same circles or the same world as the four walls, as the high outputs, as the PRGs, or as the smaller operations. And I will harp on this forever to everyone. If you have a local chapter of ILEA, International Live Events Association, of NACE, which is National Association of Caterers and something. I don't remember what it's called, but it has a catering name, but it's all kinds of event people. MPI, Meeting Professionals International, like all these industry networking groups, like show up, go to their meetings, regularly go to their meetings and meet people. And you will start to meet the people from these production companies because they're at them too. And you can learn from them. Sometimes you can shadow them. You can go check out their warehouses. I mean, like I went and got a great tour of, the brand new four wall warehouse in Boston, which is like, holy shit. I mean, that is a huge, amazing space. And like they've got previs, suites there. You can also literally build an entire touring production in there. And it's really, really cool. And you learn a lot and you make better connections so that when you're like in that last minute, like, oh shit, I need something, you got someone you can call right away. And they may send you to someone else, but at least you know that you've got your foot in the door. So definitely like get out there, meet people,
Yeah.
learn about their jobs and companies.
Rent the shit that you don't want to own is kind of like my philosophy, because man, I hate pipe and drape. Granted, I do have about 100 feet of pipe and drape because it's just a necessity at this point of when I do corporate AV stuff. But man, I don't want to own truss motors because those are just space suckers. They are heavy. They are just the maintenance. That could be a whole other episode. Anywho,
You don't want to get a double dually box truck?
yeah, no. I mean, we already got two of them, but anywho, um,
You
just
wouldn't want another one?
no. But rent the stuff that doesn't make sense in your business to own, like projectors. Like projectors are probably the one thing that I would say never buy, always rent, because especially if you have a K and up, like you got to have special lenses, and those cost a frick ton of money. Rent those things. Rent. Cameras, probably the same thing. But anywho, we're talking about weddings. Got off subject there. But stemming off of renting things, when should you buy equipment? Brian, what's your take on this?
Can you pay it off in 2 years?
2 years.
That's for some people, it's a year. For me, it's two. And what I mean by that is this something that I can know that I can easily sell to other clients, whether it's a wedding, whether it's a corporate, like, is this something that I can put into my warehouse and be like regularly using and not just sitting there collecting dust? I have a lot of things that younger me bought that are just collecting dust and I shouldn't have bought. And you're going to spend a lot of money doing that. So it's definitely, you have to be like, all right, this is something I'm going to regularly use. Or it's something that you've been renting and you've spent, you're getting to the point where you're like, I could have bought it for the amount that I have rented this. That's also another good time to say, all right, I should probably just go out and buy this, because you're not going to stop using it if you've already been using it that much. And does it suck that you spent that much already? Yes, but now at least you know that you're going to use it and you know that you can make money off of it, and you know that piece of equipment now because you've been using it. But you have to remember, this stuff is expensive. There's lots of other needs that go with it. So I mean, this could be, lighting fixtures. This could be a video wall. This could be speakers. I mean, this could be any kind of equipment that you're looking at getting. You need to understand what else you're going to need with it and where you're going to put it. What do you think about that, Brent?
Oh my gosh, this is a ongoing topic right now between me and my buddy. Storage. Like, you gotta store this stuff somewhere. It's either at your house, in your third car garage, behind your house, a storage unit, your own warehouse with a retail space, whatever. This stuff has got to live somewhere, or unless you're hauling it up from your basement every weekend or whatever the case may be.
I hate
I mean, I will say
PTSD from doing that.
I've went through every single level of gear storage, like from my grandma's house where we stored it, in and out every single time, to a storage unit, to my personal garage, to now having the 3,000 square foot warehouse space, and now we're just at a point now it's like we need a bigger space because we have more stuff, because we invested more into buying new things, because we knew that we keep getting calls for what we need. So we need space to store it. When you get storage, depending on, what it is, there's additional costs to it, like heating, electricity, water, sewage, gate fees if you're at a storage unit, parking fees if you have a vehicle, things like that. Just those costs are something to think about, just to freaking store the stuff. Not on top of like the actual like cases that like secure and keep the fixtures or whatever the gear safe from transportation. I think that's something that people don't think about, and they sometimes go cheap on. I will say that I will spend more money, especially on TVs. I will spend more money on a TV case than the actual TVs, because I want to make sure that I don't show up to a job and I have a cracked TV. I'm like, shit, now I have to run to Best Buy or Walmart or wherever the case may be to quickly get a TV, and now it's not going to match the rest of the inventory that we have. Yeah, that's just TVs.
And that can be a hard pill to swallow, is like, I am going to spend nearly as much or more on this case than the actual thing that I'm putting in it is worth. It's a long-term investment. And I think that one of the things that you need to do when you're looking at any light, anything like that, is factor in the cost of the case into the price. Don't just look at the price of the light, because that's not the only thing you need. You have to have a case. Now, some of you are out there as, SUV or hatchback warriors, keeping stuff in soft cases and trying to play Tetris in the back of your truck. And they're done that. Sometimes I still do that. But, at some point, if you're leveling up, you're trying to get higher quality stuff, you're going to want it in those hard cases. And you're going to need to realize that, I can't just do these soft sided cases anymore because my stuff is still getting effed up, and you have to get the hard case and invest in it. I mean, I made that decision 2 years ago that I was getting out of the soft case game because it was paying my ass, really. Like, I think a lot of people are like, oh, soft cases are fine. But like, I mean, I crossed into my fourth decade a couple of years ago and decided that playing Tetris in the back of my Toyota 4Runner every night was killing me, killing my back and making me hurt for days more than I needed to hurt after a big gig. And that was another cost I had to think about. Did I go out and buy a truck? No, because trucks right now are ridiculously expensive. But I do have a U-Haul that is literally a 5-minute walk from my house. I have a corporate account with them, and now I get trucks from them, and everything's in cases because it's easier for me to move it in hard cases and on wheels. So you do have to factor that in, but you have to think about the transportation, right? The cases make things heavier. So I can get away with U-Haul for most of my stuff. But if you're moving into like having a video wall, having true production grade movers, and you're putting them into road cases, those road cases weigh hundreds of pounds. And sometimes the rental trucks aren't even going to be able to handle that. Or the easy rental trucks like the U-Hauls. You might be able to get away with it from budget, but then you're going to need to start looking into buying your own truck or renting from, Penske or something that is like a, more industrial grade rental. And these are all things that you need to think about as you're upgrading and buying new stuff. So sometimes renting it is easier to go because they have all that stuff and you don't have to deal with it. You just have to be there for when they show up. So another thing to think about though is power. And for most DJs, this isn't much of a consideration. A lot, we're all using uplights. They're all battery powered. We're even starting to see battery powered movers. JMAS, I think, was the first ones to do it, but I think both has them now. And I think a couple of other companies are starting to roll them out. That's not generally a big consideration for your average DJ. Where it changes though is if you're getting into the video walls, getting into the higher power lighting. And, when you're getting into production, you need more. And your venue might not be able to handle the capacity for it, or you need specialized things, which Brent probably can tell you a little bit more about. I try not to deal with distros that much, but I have.
Yeah. You got to get into entertainment distros. So Lex Power is the standard industrial leader of, providing those things. There's also Whirlwind, but this is pretty much like, think of it, your house breaker panel, and it has outlets on the sides or however it's designed. And you can flip those breakers on and off. And those typically give you at least 20 amps per breaker, so you're able to put some nice loads on it. Some of them also have Sako, which is pretty much a big wad of cable that has 19 small pins that have, I believe, oh gosh, like, I can't think off the top of my head. It's like 20 plus amp circuit per. So like you can do a nice amount of power run and draws on that. And those are typically used in, running power to video walls, you know, truss runs on hangs up in the ceiling, or just wherever you need, a plethora of
Exos, chain
power.
motors.
Yes, exactly.
They suck
And
a
that's
lot of
where
power.
they do to go up and down to carry all that weight. They do. So you get into those. Another like downgrade from there, if you don't want to get into that. Oh, also too, before I get into that, if you have a distro, 100 amp distro, you also need cam lock or feeder cable, and that shit is not cheap, and it's not light. I could tell you that. Having to hump it myself into a road case by yourself, like 5, 2-gauge wire of copper, it's a workout. And there's a reason probably why I don't work out, is because I work out almost every single weekend on my shows, because I'm still sometimes, get your hands dirty type of guy. I'm not a white glover yet. So I'll drop some feeder if I need to. But stemming from there is a spider box, which is, I believe, what they call like a California outlet power type thing, where it's like 50 or 60 amps of power. You'll see a lot of those actually like on construction sites, they're very typical, you'll see at. But those are really great. A lot of your towable generators have those hookups as well, if they don't already have cam lock. Those are great. So
Dryer connections in houses.
Yep.
And you'll also see there are some hotels that will have connectors for those built into their walls too.
Yep. And those
you might
are
have to pay
lifesavers.
for it, but sometimes you don't.
Right. Yep. And sometimes it's just breaker it off somewhere. You just got to find the breaker, and have not done that before. But never. Just look at that. We have power. I will say spider boxes do not work well with video walls sometimes, because they're just very finicky. So you have to be proactive on that. So if you're having a video wall, like, I can speak from experience on that. But those are kind of your quick examples of power needs. So again, you're probably like, well, I only have a couple movers and some wash lights. But if you're wanting to get into, bigger shows and or having more at your shows, you have to think about all your power, and don't just think like, oh yeah, we can just, plug in all around the ballroom. Well, guess what? Ballroom probably only has really like maybe 3 dedicated circuits like around the whole space. Like, don't think because there's 50 outlets out there, meaning that they're 50, their own breakers and such.
And that cheap extension cord that you got, not going to cut it.
No. And stop buying this 20, 18, or 16 gauge extension cords. If you want to step up your game, you need at least 10, 12, or 14 gauge minimum extension cords, because those can hold the weight. And if you could hold up your extension cord and you feel the heat, it's time to get a thicker gauge.
This
So
is
you
this
want
is a whole nother episode, by the way, which we
yes,
will
we
do.
can. Yes,
We promise.
yes, yes. So I'll just leave it at that. If you can feel the heat from it, it's time to throw that shit out and think differently. And then I think one of the biggest questions that I always have for my insurance agent is, damn, how much more is this going to cost on my insurance policy premium? Brian, like, well, we got to cover this shit, right?
We do. And I think a lot of people like go through and they use the DJ insurances, which are great. Whether you're using Peep or whether you're using what's the other one that's big? Oh, RV Nuncio. Like those are definitely the big one. Whether you're using like Next, who's like kind of more of like a broker, but has been trying to attract DJs. Like those are all great, but you need to actually read your policy and know what your policy covers. Because I will tell you right now, you are probably doing something that your policy doesn't cover. And I'm not going to necessarily signal out those things because I don't want anyone to necessarily lose their policies, especially anyone who's talking on this show right now. But you have to know what's in it and what you can and cannot do. Because I will tell you right now, like, if you're like, oh, I'm going to go out and buy a video wall and get it all set up, and you think your regular DJ insurance is going to cover the liability on that, it's not. Like, especially whether you're doing ground mount or whether you're hanging it, your insurance doesn't cover it. I can guarantee it without getting a special addendum or having to go to an actual production insurance company. If that thing falls over and crushes someone, and it will crush someone, like you are liable if you're not insured for it. If you're deciding you're going to start hanging truss and like rigging truss and you think your DJ insurance is covering that, your DJ insurance absolutely is not covering that. Most DJ insurance says it very clearly that you are not covered for hanging things over people's heads. So for me, like, my lighting, unless there's something that pre-existing where I am, is almost all ground support. Will I put things up if there's something pre-existing and it's safe to use and it's rated for what I need to do it? Yes. But like, that's because it's there, not because I put it there.
Yep. And to be transparent with everyone, I have biannual meetings with my insurance agent, and I tell them, because they just ask questions like, have you bought anything new? What's what kind of jobs are you doing? Because they're not being nosy. They want to know to make sure that you are covered in every single way possible. Like you should have inland marina coverage. And again, this is another topic that we can talk about. And you should have commercial liability insurance, just like general liability insurance. But those are things, and we always have conversations about what are you doing to make sure that you are safe. And I couldn't tell you how many times that we've been requested COIs, a certificate of insurance, to provide to venues or to have X, Y, and Z. And I've had to update the policy to be a little bit more because of what we're doing and what the that other insurance is asking us to provide for our policy. So again, that's just scratching the surface of insurances, but those are things to think about when it comes to putting those purchase thoughts in your mind, because we all like want the latest and greatest thing, and we just want to buy it and don't think about the actual additional costs that are it's like an iceberg. Like here's a little the fixture and everything else underneath it that comes with it that you don't think about. And guess what, it's the reality of owning a business and being in this industry, because shit costs money. It does.
We all have gear acquisition syndrome, but part of gear acquisition syndrome is being blind to all the additional costs that you are not factoring in when you are looking at buying something.
Yes, 100%.
Guilty.
Guilty. Yes. My quick tip on buying versus renting is that if I can't sell it on other shows that I have coming up or know that I have coming up, that are every year type situations, then I'm gonna rent it. I bought 8 panels of this nice velvet red drape that I thought I was just gonna use on one show, but I ended up using it on 4 shows last year. Hey, it made its money, and you know what? Now it's in my inventory, and now I can bring it on shows that it's a nice touch to certain things. So
Very sexy with your red velvet drip. Very
that
sexy.
thing, yes. Yes. If I could hang it up in my room right now, I would. Like it's just amazing.
I've been really trying. to invest in red drape.
Mm.
I told people I wouldn't sing, and that you didn't want to hear me sing.
Lady in
On like
red.
one, yes. Now you've heard me sing. So my apologies to your ears.
Yes. But I think it's time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I think it's time to wrap it up. I feel like this is like, this is definitely much more of a business one. And sometimes the business is boring. Sometimes, it's not. But,
Right.
it is important. It is important for
Yes.
you to know what you're getting yourself into.
Yes. Yes. And I've talked about it on a YouTube channel that I have as well. Of like, if you're going to do this, think about it before you do it, because once you get into it, it's like, oh my gosh, like, and we'll talk about in future episodes about if you're going to invest in something like during your downtime, like how can you make money elsewhere to kind of, help bring in that, return on investments that you've made. So, but anywho, I'm good. Rent or buy, my take. Be
You've heard my
smart.
take. Thank you all again for watching. We appreciate your support. And if you are first time watching this, make sure you're following us, subscribe to us on YouTube, follow us on Instagram, the Lights at Full pod. Head to our website, lightsatfull.com. You can get all the episodes there. If you have questions, leave them in the comments for YouTube. Email us, lightsatfullpod@gmail. You can send us a message on the website as well. Spotify, Apple Music, rate us, review us, leave comments. It all helps, and we appreciate every single last one. Until the next time, I am Brian. That is Brent. And thank you guys for watching and or listening.
We'll see you next Tuesday.